This is Soccer 101 with Moon and Rocchio.
Hey, welcome back to Soccer 101. I'm Moon. That is Matt Rocchio. We are, let's just get straight into it, man. We are in between two big weekends of matches. We're going to catch up on some St. Louis City SC versus FC Dallas, and then we'll get into the Austin FC match that's coming up this future weekend. We just dropped an episode with Scott Rizzuto. He was talking about his two City Park experiences last week. Yeah, that was fun. He's a big goof, but he's an anti-soccer guy turned into okay, I'll tolerate this, and I'm gonna like everything that I like about it, and still continue to whine about the things that he feels he still needs to whine about. Like the 0-0 draws, like we just had St. Louis City SC versus FC Dallas. So let's get right into that. Rocchio, how'd you feel the match went?
I mean, obviously, it's a disappointing result. If we just want to talk about the end of it, a 0-0 draw in that game is extremely disappointing for St. Louis City SC. And, we can talk about how there's a lot of positives, in ways, earlier in the game. I'm pulling up right now just the ridiculous numerical disparity in the numbers that St. Louis City put up as opposed to what they allowed from Dallas offensively. Some of the big ones that stand out for me right out of the gate, though, Moon, is that City had 300 passes in the opposition's half. 300 passes in FC Dallas's half of the field. FC Dallas had 220 passes total in the entire freaking game. They didn't even have as many passes as you had in their opposition's half. They had 27 shots, only 7 of them got on target, and this is wild to me. I'm looking at a stat that says they were 10 of 40 on crosses throughout the entire game. So, I mean, you had so many opportunities. The ball was always at your feet. Tom Timmerman pointed out that the 65 to 66% possession, whichever stat you're looking at, wherever you're getting your stat, they fluctuate a little bit. Whether it's 64 or 66%, either way, it is the highest possession count for City in a game that there wasn't a red card involved, which also happened to be last year against FC Dallas. They get an early red card, and the entire game is boring and stagnant, and no one gets anything done. So City had a ton of possession, a ton of passes, a ton of chances, 0 goals. Huge problem.
Yeah, we could talk stats a lot because it is interesting. It's an interesting part of the game, the league, and even this last week. But I'd like to get into some of the positives that I did see. So just continuing with some of the stats, here's just some post-game notes that they've posted on the post-match here. City SC recorded its highest single match shot total, 24 of the season. Across all competitions this season, they've recorded 12 more shots on target, 36 in their opponents. Berkey recorded his second clean sheet of the season. Now, Berkey, I believe, was man of the match, and boy, did he deserve it.
Yes, he did.
His clean sheet was a 10th of City SC over the 2 past seasons. Marcanic created the most chances in the match. Now his first shot, his first half shot was so clean. It was so nice. It was like, whoa, look at that! And that should have been a goal. Honestly, this match should have ended maybe 3-2. Now, it ended with 0 goals on their side because of Berkey. Thank goodness, and a missed chance, honestly, by FC Dallas. But let me start here. Last year, we had a couple wins because the ball bounced our way, and we had a lot of work, some good stats, put up shots, and all that kind of stuff. But sometimes the ball bounces your way, sometimes it doesn't. It's the whole how the cookie crumbles. And in this match, in these last couple matches, there's been a few unfortunate misses. Klaus looked really good. Klaus had some great shots. He had a turn in the shot in the first half that would have gone in on a couple other days. He had that miss. I'll say miss because he hit the crossbar inside the 6 right there. Should have been a goal. There's a couple things that look like they should have been a goal. But listen, I think we had a lot of great opportunities, a lot of great shots, and just a couple things that didn't go our way. I feel like Ostrak, I told you, I've been a big fan of that guy because he's a shuffle and shoot guy, shuffle and shoot. He had a couple opportunities where last year, it would have just been a foot to the left and gone in. I'm seeing the positive here. It did make me feel better overall, even though it was one of the more frustrating draws I've ever seen. It made me feel better overall about the season going forward. Now, I say that as St. Louis City SC sits still 11th place in the West, behind Portland, behind Colorado, and behind Austin, who we're going to face this week. And They had a completely opposite weekend. They won 4-3 over who was it? Was it Portland? No. It was oh shoot. Who did they just play? San Jose.
San Jose, thank you.
San Jose, who's last place, by the way. But San Jose came out, they scored first, and I'm telling you, if you watch back, since there's not that many great highlights from our match, if you're going to watch any sort of highlight from anything this last weekend, watch the Austin San Jose game, because man, it's almost as if Austin knows how bad and clunky in elementary school their defense is, and they're just relying. It's almost like they're playing ping pong, and that they know that they're going to lose some points, and they're just focusing on scoring more goals than their opponent does. That's how they won this. That's how they won this game. And dude, if you watch this Austin San Jose, and I know I complain about the league's defense sometimes, it almost looked like both teams were playing this, oh, we know our defense is bad, so we're just going to focus on trying to score goals. It almost looked like the parents versus kids game in a 4th grade soccer match, where the parents are just making kids look silly and pay for their mistakes.
Damn.
God, it was bad. And
training must be really interesting at San Jose on a weekly basis.
I don't know, man. If you just watch it, you're just going to go, wow, like they really don't care. Their strategy is, well, our defense is going to be garbage here and there, so let's just make sure that we score a bunch of goals.
Mm-hmm.
So if we take advantage of that and look at some of these horrible defenses in the league, all we need is the ball to bounce our way and a couple of these guys to sink these finishes. Adeniran had a great opportunity in the second half. That was a sad miss. But I did, even though this was a hard game to watch, I did take positive away.
Yeah, there's a lot of the positives to take away. You already mentioned, Marcanic had a good game. Thomas Ostrak, who's obviously playing a lot more in a different position in that middle 6 center midi position. That's something he only played in spot duty, I think, 1 time last season. Now he has 2 starts and 2 appearances as a sub in that role. I was really impressed with Thomas Ostrak. AZ Jackson struggled a little bit, but Klaus got more opportunities than he's gotten in previous games. Adeniran was able to get a couple of good opportunities in his short time out there. So there were definitely some positives to take away from. Pompeu was effective in when he came off the bench. Rasmus Alm, I thought, had a great first half for a guy who's working back up to that 60, 70, 90 minute fitness. I was really impressed by all that, but you can't get over the fact that despite all of that offensive success, there's 2 things I have to focus on from that. First of all, Tom Timmerman also in his article correctly pointed out that St. Louis City snapped a run of 4 straight games where they allowed 2 or more goals. Here's why I'm not going to get that big. That's not a big deal in my mind. FC Dallas wasn't trying to score. Like FC Dallas came into that game saying, if we get out of here 0-0, we'll take the point and be happy with it because we're not that good of a team. They weren't trying to score against you, and yet somehow you needed Berkey to save your ass from dropping all 3 points with a couple more point-blank opportunities because your center backs are still getting caught looking 3 or 4 times a game. That's what's insane to me. Somehow, despite the fact that a 0-0 draw seems like it'd be something where we'd say, well, the offense was bad, defense, you did a great job. I'm not falling into that. That's an easy trap to fall into in this game because, yes, the offense was impressive. It was better. The defense was good for the most part. But the fact of the matter is, I don't care about the most part in soccer because if your center backs can get beat on the line 4 times every single game, it doesn't matter what happens the other 150 times because those 4 times are going to decide the game because good teams are going to score 2 out of those 4 times and you're going to be down 2-0. And so my thing is still focusing that this defense is not stingy enough. Berkey said it in his postgame. He says, we need to get back to being a team that's tough to play. Berkey even said it himself. He got a clean sheet, and he's still out here saying, no, buddy, defense is not anywhere near as good as it was last year. It's not anywhere near as good as it needs to be this year. I cannot stop focusing on the defense after that game because when you have that level of control against that poor of an offense, they should never get the opportunities they got against Berkey. But still, the back line has issues and allowed those opportunities, and that's bad.
I completely agree with you. If I were Berkey, I would be the superhero that's sick of saving you.
Yes, exactly.
That's how he sounded. He sounded like, listen, I am so sick of doing these superhero moves to save you, because at some point he's going to let one in. It's going to make him look bad, make the team lose. And that game could have been a nil. That could have been a 2-0 FC Dallas win.
That's how a professional offense with this much talent should be able to live inside somebody else's half when that team is simply letting you have the ball and not trying to score, except for trying to catch you on a counterattack when you make a bad pass. When a team does that, when a team just definitionally parks the bus, and I'm telling you, I haven't seen a team park the bus like that without a red card since Jose Mourinho last took a 3-0 lead. I mean, that was the most parked bus of parked buses I've seen in the MLS since City started playing it. That was ridiculous. You should have 600 passes against that defense. You should have 300 passes in the opposition half against that defense. Carnell said it himself. They're getting the dangerous chances. So if they weren't getting the chances, then you should be worried. This was a good sign in that they didn't do this when defenses did park the bus last year. That's the one thing to come away with and say, okay, even when they don't have an Edward Leuven, even when they're not as good of a passing team as they were last year, they are getting more opportunities against set defenses than they did last year. And that's even with sending in a ton of crosses and almost none of them actually coming onto a player's foot or their head for anything dangerous. Justin Horniker does a great job covering City SC. He put out a great tweet and he said that actually when you compare to it last year, City's actually doing a little bit better at getting dangerous shots than they were last year, but they're just not finishing them. And that's the big thing right now. How much of this conversation is different if they just finish 2 of those goals or if they just finish 1 of them? In fact, that's why I love everything I saw from the offense. I want to keep seeing it, but for me right now, just like I was last week, and after talking to Carnell and him making some very honest comments about there being some holes on the back line, clearly for me, the biggest question around City is still 100% for me. It's the defense. Offense is there. It's going to come. There's going to be a game where their XG is like 0.78, but they score 3 goals because this is how goals work. You get gypped out in some games when you get great opportunities, and then other games the ball just falls in even when it shouldn't be. That's why XG I think is at times a useful stat, because it does show you how crazy some games are when you get a lot of shots and no goals, or you get no shots but a lot of goals. It'll break City's way offensively, but the defense is making mistakes, and those need to get cleaned up.
Yeah, absolutely. Berkey was the hero again, saved those types of mistakes. You're right. I mean, Dallas got exactly what Dallas wanted.
Yep.
They wanted a point, and they went home happy as a clam because they took a point off of a team that should have smoked them. So going into this weekend, Austin's coming off of a high, 4 goals. They beat San Jose, gave up 3 goals. Like I'm telling you, they got some elementary school defense happening over there.
It's going to be a fast-paced game, isn't it?
Yes, I think it might. And they don't have a goalie that's to the caliber of Berkey, but they have a guy who's used to a lot of shots because their defense is poo-poo. Now Driussi is healthy. He got a goal or 2 in this match. So Austin is looking to score goals because I'm telling you, their strategy ain't relying on their defense. Their strategy is outscore the other team. Not clean sheets, not park the bus. Like, this is going to be a different game.
I'm going to have to find the over-under for Driussi, like shots on goal, and then take the over. And I'm going to have to find the over-under for this game and probably take the over on that one as well, because everything is pointing, like you're saying, everything is pointing to this being a game where because of a bad defense, City gets a couple goals, and because City's defense isn't as good, Austin, like you said, they're playing to maybe try to win this one 3-2. It's going to be a high scoring. I think it'll be a fun Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, you win MLS Cups with a solid world-class effort from a back line for an entire season. That's how it has. Maybe it's a superstar here and there. Maybe it's a superstar sort of in the making that really has a backline gel. But that's how you end up winning these cups. That's how you end up getting back to the top of the table like we were last year. So hopefully we see that kind of change, because if that happens and we just get a lucky ball here or there, like you said, they're falling in the nets even when they're not supposed to. We've got the talent on this roster. We've got it. We can find ourselves back at the top of the West before the season's out.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that game plays out, especially because I'm not 100% sure what the roster is going to look like right now. I think if Driussi's healthy and Nielsen's not, I would be shocked if that doesn't equal at least one Driussi goal on
Yeah.
Sunday afternoon.
Danger, Will Robinson, danger.
Yes.
Well, you mentioned the match being on Sunday. It is 3:45 p.m.
Yep.
It's here at City Park. Now, this is one of the freebies. It's on Apple TV, but it's
Nice.
going to be on Fox. Apple TV is showing it for free. So if you're going to watch a match, I'm glad it's this one and not last weekend, because that was 0-0. Even though it was exciting, I got a feeling we're going to see more shots, more goals. Hopefully not from both teams, but possibly. So tune in on Sunday, 3:45. City takes on Austin FC at City Park. Apple TV is showing it for free, and it's also on Fox. Okay, what else do we got? City SC celebrating Earth Day with a new Goal Zero campaign. This is what? This is a recycling initiative. They've kind of been high on the sustainability stuff, and they're launching their Zero campaign to inspire staff, fans, and general community about the impacts and ability to everyone of everyone to reduce landfill waste and single-use plastics. Less than a year after launching its goal of zero waste matches and eliminating single-use consumer plastic, City SC has hosted its first 2 zero waste matches, diverting more than 95% of waste away from the landfill after 2 of its recent sold-out matches.
I will say I have a lot of those. I have a lot of those like hard aluminum cups at home.
Yeah, I was gonna say the little aluminum cups.
I got like 50 at home. They're fantastic.
I got a couple too. All the logos are wearing off and look pretty. They look like we've had a year for 30 years. I mean, a team for 30 years.
There you go. One other thing. Speaking of St. Louis City, over the weekend, St. Louis City SC got 2 points. And MLS Next is a little bit different. City 2, they were in a 1-1 draw. Then they got an extra point because they won the shootout. It's a little bit, again, the point system's a little bit different. But I didn't want to throw out a congratulations to Brandon McSorley, who was one of the MLS Super Draft picks for City back in December. He scored his first professional goal. Jose Kojima got his first assist for STL City 2 on the Brandon McSorley goal as well. And again, they have started off with a great start to the STL City 2 schedule. Again, a lot of those games are on Sunday night. Obviously, this weekend, no City 2 game because the City 1 game is going to be playing on Sunday afternoon. But some really impressive stuff going on at the academies. Dale Schilly and everyone there. Obviously, from the get-go, they started to hit the ground running, and they've got those guys playing well. They're playing in the Generation Adidas tournaments. They're beating teams like Flamengo and Manchester United, and now they continue to have the City 2 team, obviously older than the U18s or the U22s, the City 2 team having a lot of success here to start the season. So congratulations to them. Not the only St. Louis Soccer mark, by the way. I do also want to throw out, you had Columbus Crew getting a huge win in the CONCACAF Cup the other day over Tigres. They were the first team, American team, I should say, to lose their first round and then walk away from Mexico with a win. Patrick Schulte, the St. Louisan, playing for Columbus Crew, got 2 saves in the penalty shootout against Tigres. So congratulations to Patrick Schulte. And over the weekend, Josh Sargent continues to do what he does. We're a little bit angry that the strikers in St. Louis aren't putting away goals. They just need to watch some film from the guy from St. Louis area, that is, as Josh Sargent had another MLS goal, and he continues to be a monster. All the good things in St. Louis soccer right now in the world. Boom.
That is awesome. We appreciate you being here with us on Soccer 101. We'll wrap it up for this week.
One more thing.
Go
ahead. Throw in one more thing. Because a lot of the conversation lately has been about the lack of striking and the lack of finishing for St. Louis City SC. And a lot of that conversation has spilled over into people being angry about Lutz Pfannenstiel's comments about how we're not a designated team. This team's not about designated players. We're about being a designated team. And he's used a lot of those comments to explain why City is not using their third designated player spot. So 2 things on that quote, because I know a lot of people have been getting bothered by those quotes. There's been a lot of conversation about using that third DP spot. So I just want to say this. Manuel Veth, and if you do not follow Manuel Veth on Twitter, X, whatever have you, you're making a little bit of a mistake if you're a City fan. Do it right now at Manuel Veth, VETH, because he is, in my opinion, the best transfer reporter when it comes to things happening with MLS clubs. He reported a few months ago that City, during the transfer window, was looking at Cedric Tukert, a striker coming out of the Bundesliga. That goal didn't happen. The move didn't happen. Hanover didn't want to move him, but his contract is up at the end of the year. Now, again, European football, their end of the year is just our summer, okay? So when his contract ends up, there's still a lot of MLS left. Emmanuel Veth sent out a tweet a couple days ago and said, as reported, All for City wanted to sign Cedric Tukert in January, but the deal collapsed due to Hanover's financial demands. Tukert will be a free agent this summer and is one of many candidates for St. Louis. There have been no concrete talks about a deal, but nonetheless, interesting to me that they're still interested in a very good striker, a big striker like Tukert. I think that'd be a great move for St. Louis City SC. And while we're talking about roster moves, I do want to say St. Louis City or MLS also announced a change to their roster rules. So the old rule used to be you could have 3 designated players, and that also was connected to your amount of U22 players, and those two things were connected. Now they're putting out a new rule. Instead of being able to have 3 designated players, and I believe it would have been just 1 U22 player. Now, if you have only 2 designated players, you get to have 1 more U22 player, and you get an extra $2 million in general allocation money.
No kidding.
So things changed a little bit, and again, this is all really complicated. I know technically, if you have 3 designated players, but one of them is a youth designated player, you actually get more U22 spots. It's very complicated. I didn't do a great job explaining it there. All I know is that.
Wait, MLS rules being complex? No.
Yeah, exactly right. Shocking, right? Especially the roster rules. Holy crap. They are insane. So don't worry about what it was beforehand. All you have to know now is that with these new rules, if you only have 2 designated players, which City does, you now get a 4th U22 roster spot, and you get $2 million in general allocation money. That certainly changes the conversation, because now it's not just about not using your 3rd designated player because about money and about mentality, kind of like Lutz was saying. Now there's a concrete reason to have a different roster construction, to have only 2 DPs, because it gives you the general allocation money now to flirt with, and it lets you be a little bit more flexible with your U22s. I do want to say this, though. The U22 initiative contracts are interesting because right now, while this would allow City to have up to 4 of them, City only has 1 of them. The only person on City's roster on a U22 initiative contract is Chris Durkin, who signed his U22 initiative contract just before he turned 22 with DC United a few years ago. So there's a lot of room now. If they don't sign the 3rd designated player, there's upwards of 3 U22 initiative contracts that they could hand out, and they get the extra $2 million in general allocation money. Or they could just maybe bring in Tukert as the 3rd designated player. And none of this matters, and all of our complaining over the last year has meant nothing. But I just want to throw it out there. If Tukert happens, everything I just said doesn't matter, but you get a new striker. But if Tukert doesn't happen, now it's actually a boon for your roster. There's actually a reason to only carry 2 designated players, and that reason actually plays right into the hands of Lutz Pfannenstiel. Now it's not just a mindset factor. Now he gets money to play with. Now he gets an extra U22 roster spot to play with. That's good stuff for a guy like Lutz to have, to build this team with. I love this move by the MLS. It complicates an already complicated situation, but it works out well for City, so I'm okay with it.
Yeah, it's a cool strategy. That's all good information to know. I mean, this is why I love this game. This is why I love these leagues.
It's so goofy though, because like there's all these crazy rules. Because like if you go into Spotrac, which I know, which isn't the best for salaries, but I like it. But because there's all these different rules for roster spots 1 through 20, and then spots 21 through 25, and then spots 25 through 30, and it's like you can only be paid certain amounts of money. It is the most convoluted thing in the world.
Yeah.
If you're bored and feel like killing 6 hours, just Google MLS roster rules and have fun for the rest of your day.
It's just so much fun to see all the game and the strategy that goes on off the field.
That's fun too. But
it's a big deal.
This is a good example because there's another story on The Athletic, and I'll get out of this really quickly. The Athletic just put out a story that there's a lawsuit going on in New York right now that just dropped the EPL as one of their defendants. That's a lot of words to pretty much say what's going on here. Well, essentially, there are people who want the biggest teams in FIFA to play league games, not just little international special games here and there. They want them to play league games outside of their country. So you know how the NFL plays NFL games in Europe, and next year they're going to play one in Brazil? Well, people want Manchester United and Manchester City. They want them to play like the Manchester Derby in New York City. And so they're trying to make that happen, and this lawsuit's trying to make it so that EPL teams could do that. And that's not how you get people excited about soccer in the United States. You just simply make the MLS's roster rules not so freaking stupid, and you let organizations spend money and build teams like they do in Europe, and then maybe you'll have more people interested in teams because your teams will function like European clubs instead of having to function with these handcuffs and all these crazy roster rules to actually make things happen. It's interesting that all these things happening at once, but that came out and just made me think, like, just stop finding all these special ways to make your sport popular and just make your sport the best version it can be, and that'll make it the most popular.
Well, that was the EPL, right? I mean, they were
That's
like,
what it is.
Let's just attract the best talent and figure out how to make this the best league on the planet.
And that's my thing. You are the best league on the planet. I'm not saying the MLS is anywhere close to that. But my point is that to get to that point, I do not think the next 50 years, the best move is to continue on the path you have in the last 30 years, which is having these weird roster rules that make it hard for fans to pay attention, makes it hard for media to explain it to fans, and it makes it harder for the teams to actually build clubs at a level and pace at which certain European clubs are able to. And that's why we're talking about being 30 years into soccer and still probably only being 5 or 6 years further than we were in 1996.
Yeah, but that's okay. At least we're going in the right direction. Of course, we like to do it our way because screw that Euro trash. You know what I'm saying? We will name our teams like European clubs, but let's not run a business like them.
No. No. What? Tax fraud? We don't do that here.
Well, that is a fun way to end this episode. Make sure you subscribe wherever you're downloading the podcast and share Soccer 101, especially if you're a St. Louis City SC fan and you just want to know more about the game. You know, we're a safe place, a safe space for St. Louis to talk about soccer, learn about soccer, and complain about soccer.
There it is.
Which is fun. So make sure you check out previous episodes, especially that last one with Scott Rizzuto talking about his experience at City Park. Let's see, more stuff coming up, and I'll be in New York this weekend, so I'll be actually in the air trying the 30,000 foot of Wi-Fi to watch the match on Sunday. Hopefully I get it and can watch while I'm in the air. But we'll be back next week to talk and wrap up hopefully a big win over Austin that's coming up on that Sunday 3:45 match here at City Park. Rocchio, you got anything else?
No, Moon, it's a big game. We talked about these two matches with FC Dallas last week as being a chance to get 6 points. You already dropped 2. You got to get 3 out of Austin FC, so let's see it happen.
Yeah, we need at least 5.
Go!